Janet Conner. And Janet Conner calls herself and is a prayer artist, a mystic witch, and a producer and director of the Theater of the Miraculous. And if you want to know what that's like, you sign up for a prayer intensive or a workshop with Janet Conner, and you will know. So, which I have. I've taken classes with her, and if you're interested, please look. I'll have all these links in the show notes, so please look for them. Janet, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to be talking about shedding friends, shedding people from our lives. So that, because I feel like for me, I've been plagued with shame and humiliation about the friendships, the best friends who I do not have anymore. None of my best friends are my best friends anymore. And yes. And Janet, you gave me this idea of the shedding. You gave me these words. Tell me how this came to you. Tell me about your shedding processes.
Well, I don't think this is a choice a woman makes consciously. Now, I hope we start raising girls that do make this decision consciously, but I think for a lot of people of my generation, I was born in 48, grew up very conditioned in the 1950s in a Christian, Catholic family, obedient. I was being groomed to be compliant, obedient, a good wife. I remember one day in high school, we went to some guy's house, some party, and it was a mess, right? All these high school kids, we made a mess. And so I was helping tidy up for this guy because his parents were going to come home. And I remember some guy next to me said, "You're going to make a good wife." Now that was a blessing, because in that moment I said to myself, no, this to be a good wife. Save me. So I'm very grateful that he said that in that moment, because it landed as a little seed in my body going, no effing way.
Yeah.
So, but still, I was carefully conditioned and groomed to be obedient and compliant, and girlfriends were really important.
Yeah.
This is somebody you could talk to. This is somebody you could cry with. So it was a shock, a horrific shock, a life-altering shock, an earthquake, when my husband became violent and I realized, oh, Houston, I got to get a divorce. And it was non-negotiable. I mean, my whole body was like, okay, he's scary. If he's scary, what's he doing in my bed? What's he doing in my house? I can't do this anymore. Yes. Now, mind you, I should have made this decision years before, but there comes a moment, right? There finally comes a moment. Now, if that's not life-shattering enough to change your entire life, because he was so violent, I took my son, who was 7 at the time, I had to take him into hiding 4 or 5 times. Now, when you do this, people disappear. Every client disappeared. Every friend disappeared. I found out later that he actually ordered all of his male friends to have no contact with my son and I. And some of these people, they had babysat. And Jerry, my son, loved them, and he couldn't understand why they didn't come over anymore and why they didn't send Christmas cards. Now, this was a forced shedding. Janet should have, I can look back and see that as the verbal abuse and the put-downs and the mockery and all of that. And, of course, I was working in a very toxic environment, very patriarchal, hierarchical as a headhunter, where abusing the employees was like the owner's sport. So I should have, I can look back at that now and go, honey, where were you?
Right.
But I was trying so hard to make a living and, get promoted.
Yes,
and
yes,
blah, blah, blah,
yes,
blah.
yes.
And so I put up with until this moment comes. And the moment of getting the divorce, poof, everybody disappeared. Now, it broke my heart at the time. at the time. But it also, because the deck was cleared, the only thing I had in this world was to pick up a pen and start Deep Soul Writing. Now, I didn't know what Deep Soul Writing was, okay? I discovered it, I stumbled into it, but that was just because I was desperate. Nobody was talking to me. I was taking my son into hiding. My business went from 6 figures to nothing overnight and stayed at nothing for 3 years.
Oh my God.
So this became my best friend, right? And it still is.
Mm.
Every single day, non-negotiable. This is where I start my day. This is where everything comes. So I had to kind of accept the fact that my friends in headhunting weren't my friends. And everybody that came to dinner Saturday night for my beautiful feasts were not my friends. Now, in my first career, I got a master's degree in education of the deaf. I taught deaf kids for a decade. And I love sign language. There is something, just because it's so physical.
Yeah.
Now, look at the sign for friend. You make two little hooks with it, left finger over finger. This is a beautiful sign, because if a person is your friend, they listen to you. You listen to them. You are equal, sharing, taking turns, supporting. There is no fighting. There is no dominance in this beautiful, beautiful sign. All of the friends I had connected with my marriage were not friends. They were acquaintances. They were obligations. They were users. They used me. And I very carefully made, I hate to even imagine the time and effort and money I put into all these feasts. The people in headhunting, they were not my friends. They were not my friends. The people in college, the people in high school, there are even family members that I would clearly say, I'm sorry, we're not friends. So the shedding at first was forced. Janet did not choose it. But the day came when I went, wait a second. If someone is not my friend, if I cannot show up as a mystic witch, as a prayer artist, as someone who's ecstatic about the fact that hierarchy and patriarchy is ending. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's awful. But I'm happy to be a part of it.
I agree. Yes. I know. Everyone's going, oh my gosh, what's happening? I go, we're shedding. We're shedding a culture of dominance, and it's got to die. It's got to die.
And so the people who were carefully groomed, whether they're male, female, whatever version they come in, if they think there's safety in that hierarchy, in that patriarchy, in being obedient, in obeying the laws and the rules, then I need to shed you. Because, and here's the fun thing about shedding, that I want the people listening to go, oh, wait a second. So some people shed themselves. They go, oh, you're not really offering self-help anymore. You're getting too mystical. Bye-bye. 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 And some people I consciously shed. Whatever shedding, whether it's done to me or I make the conscious choice, there is this sparkling discovery that as you shed the people who are no fun to be with anyway, and they're not really encouraging me to dive deeper and become more Janet. They want Janet to be whoever it was she used to be and stay in your little box. Then the people who like this Janet, who are interested in pre-patriarchal, wild, organic, original, goddess-centric prayer, who are interested in, wait a second, what happened to the witches? How is that connected to patriarchy? Who were the witches? What witch hunts are happening right now? They show up. They drop out of the sky, like Cheryl, right? People just show up. They sign up for a prayer intensive. I have no idea who they are. And then my Janetness, my prayer artist, my mystic witch sparks your mystic witch and your prayer artist and your mystical life and your goddess centric discoveries, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so now we are not feeding off because that's a patriarchal, we are feeding one
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
We are,
Friends. Yes.
I see you, you see me. I hear
Mm-hmm.
you, you hear me. I remember you into the fullness of your possibility. You remember me into the fullness of my possibility.
I love it. So may we all rise to be the fullest,
Fullness.
the fullness of ourselves, and let's have some friends who join us there. Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.